Hey guys, I hope y'all are having a great day. I just wanted to get on here and share my story. I mean, you guys are seeing my videos and they're a lot about mindset, but mostly finances and how to get ahead and how to build wealth and how to get whatever you want financially. And I wanted to share with you how I came up with this channel, but also my story of where I came from, and then why I'm so passionate about spreading this word about becoming wealthy, because it's something that, for me, everybody should know these basics that I teach. Because if you know these basics, now you don't have to struggle with going on vacation. You don't have to struggle with the holidays when you're not sure if you can buy the presents that you want to buy. And your happiness in life should not be based on the amount of money that you have. You should be able to earn as much money as you want to. So for me, I came from an environment where we didn't really know too much about finances. From what I can remember, as far back as I can remember, the very first piece of advice that was shared with me is building credit and how important it was. And after we talked about building credit, the very next thing was go get a credit card. Take out a credit card and start building your credit that way. So I took out a Kohl's card, I think it was, but I didn't know really anything at that time about interest rates or paying that back or anything like that. I was just told you need to do this to start building your credit score so that you can, when the time comes, you can buy a house and you'll get a good interest rate. Again, had no idea about interest rates at all, but also to help set you up for the rest of your life as well. But nothing really clicked about like the importance of debt or the interest rates or anything like that. It was just, okay, I'm doing this because it's what I'm told to do. And so that was my first kind of experience with money itself. And of course, the idea of like saving money or investing, that was never taught to me either. So yes, I was working at that time, but I was basically just like using all the money that I earned for like parties and buying. I bought the first iPhone when it came out and used all of my savings for it. And I really had no concept of like saving money or anything like that. So it was like debt and then also no sort of clue about saving money or investing. So as time kind of progressed, I went to college. I was fortunate enough to not have to take out student loans for college. But obviously I still ran into the problem of like not saving money and then using all my money in college as well. So as I'm going through this, I'm broke all the time and I'm just using more and more of my credit cards because I wanted to buy stuff. I wanted that materialistic stuff and I would do whatever it took to get it, including go into debt for it. And then I took out a loan for my car. Actually, it was like a $5,500 loan for a car. And I only paid the minimum payments on it. And at that time, I was actually fortunate enough to be offered my parents' car, which I would have had to make payments with them, but I wouldn't have had interest or anything like that. But because I had no idea about finances, I was just like, no, I want to get the car that I want. So I took out a loan, an auto loan for a car, and obviously interest came with that and all that stuff. So I had credit cards, and then I also was in debt for auto payment as well. So when I graduated college, I just kept the same kind of mindset. I'm just gonna not worry about paying off my debt. I'm just gonna pay the minimum payments, and I still had no concept of like interest rates or anything like that, except the problem came in now that I didn't want to work hard. I just wanted to stay in that kind of like drifting through life. So I was making like bare minimum money, and so it really didn't help at all for like saving or paying off debt or anything like that. And then fast forward a little bit, I think it was like 29 years old. So this was like, I would say like 8 years after I finished college. I started to look at what I wanted out of life. Like, and keep in mind at that time I had upgraded my car. So I was in a lot more debt than just $5,500. I was in debt like 20 or 30,000 for auto loans alone. And I thought to myself like, okay, there's things that I want in life, like traveling, going on vacation, but more importantly, I want my money to work for me. I want to be wealthy, but I didn't know how to do it. And so what I did actually was I started self-educating, and I started with like basics. So I started with interest rates and how interest rates works, the importance of eliminating debt. So like snowball effect, if you guys don't know about snowball effect, if you want to know about it, drop it in the comments and I'll talk about snowball effect. But I started to learn about these things and the importance of understanding interest rates and paying more than minimums and what the successful people were doing in order to build wealth. So it was a lot of this like self-education, but just because you have self-education doesn't mean that all of a sudden you do the things that you're learning about. It takes discipline. And so I learned about this stuff for like a year or two, and I'm just internalizing all of it, but I'm not implementing it. And then I was fortunate enough to get a job in student loans, and I was educating people on, more importantly, or more specifically, college kids on the importance of not taking out debt and not taking out high interest loans. So I was starting to give back that knowledge, and I really enjoyed it. It was awesome because I was able to give the information back that I had learned, and give the youth a chance to understand the importance of that, because that was information that I didn't have. And so that's kind of where me giving back the information started. But what was cool was I got paid really well to do that job. So it was like twofold. I was giving back, but I was also earning money. And so when I was earning money, I started to look at like, okay, where are my expenses at right now that I'm unnecessarily spending money on, that I could potentially be saving money? And so I started to cut out those little expenses that I didn't need anymore. And what that allowed me to do is start paying down those credit cards and pay more than what the minimum actually was. So fast forward to earlier this year, actually, I was put in a position to pay off all of my debt. So I was able to, within 4 years, not only learn about the importance of interest rates and not having a lot of debt, but in 4 years, I was able to pay off all my credit cards and no longer be a slave to this debt. Now, because of that, obviously, as I've been learning throughout the process, I've been giving back that information to other people so that they can learn how to do exactly what I did. But once I had all this extra money that is no longer going toward debt, now I can look at like investing into other things that are important to me. And so that's where the new level of education came from. So earlier this year, I started learning about where I should be putting my money. And I shouldn't say earlier this year, it actually started last year when the pandemic hit, because I saw how low the stock market actually was, like how big of a hit it took. And I started to think, okay, well, if it's low right now, the world's going to go back to normal. So let me start putting money into this right now. And so it took discipline to do that, because obviously you want to hold on to your money and spend it the way you want to spend it, but it takes discipline in order to invest. So I started investing in the stock market back when COVID hit, but as 2020 rolled in, I started learning more and more about other investments and how to diversify and find residual type assets that will continue to bring you in money. So that's where things like day trading came in. That's where things like crypto came in. That's where things like dividend stocks came in. That's where like real estate investing is coming in, is I'm learning about all these things. And as I'm learning about them, I am, and keep in mind all this stuff is a risk, right? So I luckily have enough money to say, I'm willing to take the risk in investing into crypto. I'm willing to take the risk in investing into dividend stocks. I'm willing to take the risk in investing into real estate. Whatever you invest in, it's all risk. So I've been fortunate enough to like start investing into that stuff. And as I do that and I learn more, I'm able to give back that information as well. So that's kind of my story. My story is like growing up from not knowing anything about debt and interest rates to all of a sudden I'm out of debt and I'm able to like start investing. I can give that information back while also building my wealth as well. So these videos are kind of like giving back to you guys, but also showing my progression throughout the whole journey itself. So I wanted to share that with you guys. And if there's any questions you have specifically on investing, drop them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer the question to the best of my knowledge. Keep in mind that this is relatively new information for me, and I learn as I go and I intake everything. And even if I don't nail it, 100% of the time, there's no such thing as nailing it 100% of the time. But as I make mistakes, I'm learning from those mistakes. But as I do things right, I'm also able to give back that feedback as well. So if there's anything that you guys want to learn, definitely drop it in the comments below. But other than that, thank you guys for letting me share my story, and take care.